made a proposal of a compact between states? If they had, this would be a confederation. It is otherwise most clearly a consolidated government. The question turns, sir, on that poor little thing, the expression, "we the people," instead of "States of America." I need not take much pains to show that the principles of this system are extremely pernicious, impolitic, and dangerous. The rights of conscience, trial by jury, liberty of the press, all of your immunities and franchises, all the pretensions to human rights and privileges are rendered insecure, if not lost, by this change so loudly talked about by some and inconsiderately by others. Is this same relinquishment of rights worthy of free men? Is it worthy of that manly fortitude that ought to characterize Republicans? It is said 8 states have adopted this plan. I declare that if 12 states and a half had adopted it, I would, with manly firmness, and in spite of an erring world, reject it. So Patrick Henry says, you're all wrong. It is not a federal government. It is a national government, and I don't care how many people say that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. It's not. So there were people at the time who were opposed to the Constitution because they were afraid that it gave too much power to the government. We've got 225 years of hindsight. Who was right? Now, the Constitution was written as a response to all this printed money. When you print money, you cause inflation. When you cause inflation, people will not accept the currency. If people do not accept the currency, the economy stops. And if the economy stops, everybody is hurt. And so they said, go to Washington and create something, fix the Articles of Confederation. They didn't. They replaced it. Started from scratch with the Constitution. It was signed on September 17th, 1787. All right? We're very, very close to September 17th, Constitution Day. What are you doing for Constitution Day to, celebrate that document? Right? Or possibly to announce how bad that document is. The Constitution is a wonderful document, but it has some terrible flaws in it. If you don't read the document, you don't know what the flaws are. Now, the Constitution had to go out and had to be ratified. Why? Because they didn't have authorization to do that. They had to get permission from the people. And so the states, the 13 colonies, had to ratify it. How many colonies had to ratify it before it became the supreme law of the land? 9. The Articles of Confederation said it had to be unanimous. You think they would have been able to be unanimous? No. So Alexander Hamilton said, we got to get away with less. We'll do it for 9. And then just kind of force everybody into it. Now, eventually, all 13 states did ratify it. But only 9 were required. Now, when we ratified the Constitution, that was 2 years later, in 1789. 1789 was the same year that we wrote the Bill of Rights. Well, why did we write a Bill of Rights? Wasn't the Constitution good enough? No. They were afraid that the Constitution gave too many powers to the federal government. We wanted protection from the government. We wanted a Bill of Rights. We wanted further limitations on the government. All right? So the Bill of Rights was written in 1789 and ratified 2 years later in 1791. So everybody remembers 1776. Add 11, and you've got 1789, which was the 87. 1787 is when the Constitution was signed. 2 years later, in 89, it was ratified, and the Bill of Rights was written, and the Bill of Rights was ratified 2 years after that in 1791. Right? So 11, 2, and 2. Now, let's talk about the Constitution, finally. If you open up your book on the Constitution to page 17, we have the preamble. What is a preamble? It's a paragraph that says why we are writing this document. It's a statement of purpose. Most of you should know this by heart. It says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Okay? That's why we were writing the Constitution. So, to form a more perfect union, that means they already had a union. The Articles of Confederation. But we said that one doesn't work so well, so we are going to form a more perfect union. Right? For these reasons. And then it says we're going to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Does that mean for everybody? No, that's how we should interpret it, but that's not what they meant. And also notice that the first line says, "We the people of the United States." And the last line says, "Establish this Constitution for the United States of America." United States and United States of America. Those are two different things. One is a republic, the other is a democracy. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Now, the Constitution was set up to operate as a negative authority. Who has all the power? We do. We are giving power and authority to the government. That is a permission. We have the rights, they get privileges. Don't let them tell you anything different. Now, the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of each state are a political trust. Let me describe a trust very briefly. Let us pretend that I am very old. Let us also pretend that I am very rich. You're going to have to pretend on the rich part a lot harder than you have to pretend on the other part. Okay? So I'm rich and old and I have children. And I want to leave my money, all my millions of dollars for my children. But they're children. They don't know how to spend money. If I give them $10 million, they're going to spend it on bubble gum. You know? And I don't want that to happen. So, knowing that I'm probably going to die before they grow up, I want to create a contract. I'm going to create a contract with John. This is Uncle John. And I want to leave my money for my children. So I write a contract with John that says, I'm going to give you my money. And when my children turn 18 or 21 or whatever age I decide, I want you to give them their money. And I will pay you $1,000 a year or whatever it is to do that. So I've got a contract with John. That is known as a trust. I am the trustor. The reason I write this contract is because I trust John. I don't think he's going to, take advantage of me. Because I'm not going to be here to make sure. John is the trustee. He's the person that I'm